So hello everyone. So in this video we're going to talk about workflow. So it's going to be divided in 4 videos where first I'm going to go about posing, which is a big aspect of making sure that the intentions comes across and that your character emotions, body language are reflecting the reference choices and that you can see it with the types of facial expressions, etc. that we've seen. The second video will be about blocking. Blocking is in betweening compared to your reference, looking at your reference, trying to extract all the subtleties, the secondary action, and kind of the intentions in the body language and in the movements that creates a certain subtext. Like subtext is what is your character feeling? How is he feeling in this moment? What is he saying when he says those lines? So it's going to be about this. And then the third video will be about the spline, which we're going to put it all the curve from your blocking in spline, and I'm going to show you the first thing that you need to do to a shot to make it feel more animated. There's going to be a little bit of a polish, different demo that you will be able to see as well, just to think out of just this test, but voila. And then from there, we'll go into a full facial polish, one last hour, where we're going to dive into the connections in the face, the last little things like stickies or things to put on top of your animation to really making it more refined. So for the posing aspects and first for the workflow aspect. So we've seen these shots already, but let's take a look again. And let's take a look at the first things that we will do right now, which is...
So you're a bounty hunter.
That ain't it at all.
Then what are you?
I'm a bounty hunter.
The main key poses. So as you see in here, the main key poses are trying to reflect each one of the intentions here. So we're going to start by creating that first pose here. Really from the get-go, I want to go again into all the details of what you should do to your shot when you start your scene in this first hour, creating that first pose and the next one, just so you see a little bit about how you create those main intention poses. All right, let's dig into Maya for this. So once you have your character in Maya, the first thing that you want to do is going to bring, the picker for your character. So by clicking in the picker here, is going to bring whichever one. So Hanim School has a good picker for Apollo, which I've shared with you guys. So you have those 2 Apollo pickers that you can just put. There is Apollo, Artemis, and Memnon, which are all the same characters from Ramanarango, the first ones. And here you can grab the body and the face to have the 2 different ones. Here is going to ask you what is the name. So if you don't know, you can just say this. Me, I know is Apollo with tracksuit. So like that, when I select something in there, it should select it. As you can see, when I have 2 tabs, this one selects actually the things in Apollo there. You can see how it selects. But the body didn't take the namespace change. What the namespace is here you can see my Apollo is named Tracksuit Maya 2020. That's just the name that I've given Apollo in this case. So it's coming from the namespace of your character, where you need to change it so that it has the same name. So what you do is you go in picker and you're going to go into change namespace in there, and you have here, you can go with the Apollo Tracksuit Maya 2020, which is the name of this one, or whatever yours is named, and then you can see it selects those parts. So having a picker is important to be able to select your whole character, for example, like select all. If sometimes it takes a bit of time, to select everything in there just with the picker, etc. You can also, create set selection with Animbot, so it's also faster. I think my all is faster than if I go with this one. You can see how it takes a bit more time, so it depends. But sometimes you can create some set selection with Animbot if you want to make it faster. So in here, the first thing that you want to do is you put key on your character, on everything. And I've shared with you as well in Studio Library some poses. There is a neutral pose and a neutral relaxed. You can start from both of them, whichever one you think is going to be more useful for your shot. So if you go in the next pose and you actually apply this, you will see that there is a few things changing, like the shoulder height, the neck distance, as well as in the head, there's a few things that I do to the face in here. So if I go back to the face and I reset the face to 0 of Apollo, so you can see the face of Apollo, and if I use just the actual neutral. So here what I do is I select only the face with my set selections, or I could go with Apollo face here and just go face all. Let's select the face, and you can also apply just the neutral on the face. So you can see the types of different things I do to the face as well to make it a bit more appealing in terms of the eyes, where they're placed, the brows, the mouth, etc., etc. So, well, all this is very important when you start your scene to kind of start with a nice pose. So, and for the shoulder, the reason why they are down is so that when my arms are going down like this, it feels more natural than if they're like that and you have this kind of very squarey feeling. So like this, I get more of a neutral already kind of feeling when I put my arms down, which is going to be most of the time with for him. And if you want, you can also put the neutral relaxed, which same thing I shared with you guys, which is him being just in a neutral pose with the feet being a little bit open, with the hands being in neutral pose, etc., etc. You can see there is some dark edges in the side of the character there. So what you want to do for that is you're going to select Apollo this, and you're going to put it in smooth in 3. Okay, by going to 3, then you get rid of that dark edges is the only way. So from there, the second thing that you want to do is going to put a camera, okay, and putting your reference in. So we're going to do it another time. So here I'm going to go in a new perspective. It's going to be named Perst 1. I'm going to name it Shot Cam. Okay, I'm going to check onto the settings of my resolution just to know what my camera is. So right now it's a 540. What I would like is to make it a 1080 at least, and then I like to actually make it maybe a bit more wide, so I'm going to go with an 810. Like that I will get a framing in there that is going to be showing some black bars. If we go with it, it's none. So if you want to show the black bars, you're going to go into that here. Then you go in the attribute editor of your camera. You're going to change the near clip plane to 6 with those characters so that it doesn't have the kind of flickering thing happening when you're going too far from it. And in the display option of your camera, you're going to make it dark. You're going to make it opaque, and you're going to make it the overscan to 1. Like that, you see, you don't see any black bars apart from above and under, and like that you have a nice camera. In this I show no manipulator, no curves, no grid, just like the character, and that's it, you know, just like this in there. And also I make sure that this is anti-aliasing, just so it's not too jittery. So once I have my camera and my character, I'm going to need to put my reference. So for the reference, I use reference importer, just as we've seen in the other things. I'm going to go and find my actual reference, which is the workflow. So I open the file, then it's going to be from 0 to 10. I'm going to name it acting ref, or whatever I want to name it for this shot, or even the name of this. I'm going to save it in some place where, well, so in the same acting shot in general, in the reference, and in there you're going to put with like acting tech, and then you go select like that. Then you go create image plane in 24 FPS, and you go create image sequence. Like that, it's working. I think the reference was in 30 FPS, and it puts it in 24 FPS. So here you need to show image plane, and there it is, that nice reference. So once I have the reference, again, I like to put it, you know, with the camera. So I'm going to show my cameras in there, select the reference, select the perspective 1 camera, and going snap, puff. So like that, it snaps on it. Then I'm going to make it go back behind the character, making it a lot bigger, something like this. And then what I do is I select the reference, select the camera, and I use ZV parent just to parent it to it. And like this now and there, you see the reference is parented to the camera. And so after what you do, by the way, you see here, I'm not able to really focus on the character, is because in Animbot, there is this option here of tumble around selection, which here it's making things hard, but I love this thing, which is whenever you select, you're going to be able to tumble around. So you see if I select just the head, now I'm going against my character and it's a lot easier. It's because before it was selecting the reference and then you tumble around the reference but not the character. Okay. Anyway, so here what I would like to do is kind of make my character in a similar spot than my ref. For that, I'm going to really work on the posing of my character, making it feel the same as my ref. So I always use and start with the body. Let's go with, as I was mentioning, the neutral relaxed, like that. I'm going to put him down, so he is sitting, okay? I'm going to put those feet as well in the pose. So it's not only because I'm not seeing it that I'm not going to actually pose it. I spend a lot of time in posing the characters and making sure that they are actually working in 3D. So it's very important that you make it work like what you see. So I can see in there, if I look at the ref, that the hand is on the leg. So if the hand is on the leg, it means that to be able to stay connected with the leg, I'm going to need to kind of make my hand be like part of be an IK. Anything that is connected should be an IK so that I can actually place it and leave it there. So in this case, what I would like for my hand to go down there and to be on my leg. And I would even, I think, pose the hand a little bit differently. So if you have in here some stuff that maybe makes it a little bit more open. Just like that. And in there, sometimes I even really spend time in actually making this being really connected and feeling like it's on the leg and spending the time, even if I don't see it again in the shot. Here for the pull vector, it feels a little high, so I'm just going to make it in the alignment of the hand. So what I look for that is to have something that feels in the same alignment. Then the body, if I check the ref, he is a lot more like this. And there I can see already there is kind of this inclination in the body going this way. So me, I would go with the general angle of this, and it's going to be very important to use just that as my main driver for the general shape and what I see in the ref. Once you have something like this and it feels kind of like the pose is almost there right now, what I would do is I also like to have the knees going a little more in when they're apart instead of too far out, to kind of stabilize the character a little bit more. Also, rotating the knee, like the foot out, is a cool way to kind of put him a little bit more on, like, planted. But I like to have a little bit of these, not necessarily going with the cowboy thing always of like the legs being too spread apart. And then when I have that, in this case here, I will start to match a little bit of what I see in the ref and my angle. And in this case, the ref, I would move slightly to the side so I can see it. And I want to have it almost the same size as my character. So something around these lines.